Godzilla, King of the Monsters is a 2019 American monster film directed and co-written by Michael Dougherty, a sequel to Godzilla 2014, which was previously directed by Gareth Edwards. And it's the 35th film in the Godzilla franchise, the third film in Legendary's monsterverse, and the third Godzilla film to be completely produced by a Hollywood studio. And the film stars Kyle Chandler, Werner Farmiga, Millie Bobby Brown, Bradley Whitford, Sally Hawkins, Charles Dance, Thomas Middleditch, Alicia Hines, Oishai Jackson Jr., David Stratterman, Ken Watanabe, and Zhang Jiraiya. And it is dedicated to executive producer Yoshimitsu Banno and original Godzilla stunt performer Haru Nakajima, who both died in 2017. And in the film, members of the Saiporo Zoology Agency Monarch face off against a battery of god-sized monsters, including the mighty Godzilla, who collides with Monarch, Rodan, and his ultimate nemesis, the three-headed King Ghidorah. When these ancient super species thought to be mere myths rise again, they all vie for supremacy, leaving humanity's very existence hanging in the balance. And the sequel was greenlit during the opening weekend of Godzilla, with original director Gareth Edwards expected to return, but Edwards left the project in 2016, so Dougherty, who had hired in October 2017, was to rewrite the script with Zach Shields, and yeah, new director and all that jazz, and the film was released. It's scheduled to be released tomorrow in the US, but I think we've had some early releases in some parts of the country. But yeah, it is scheduled to be released in the US on the 31st of May. But we in the UK got it earlier, like 2 or 3 days earlier, and I watched it yesterday, and it's getting mixed reviews. But let me talk about the good of this film. And the good, I have to admit, is the visuals. And let me say, the first Godzilla had nice visuals, but I wasn't that impressed by the Godzilla design, the look of it. And I don't know, sometimes the visuals weren't that great, but I feel like in this movie they pop out so much more. And maybe that's because I was watching it in 3D. It was the first time I ever watched a film in 3D in 4 years. The last film I watched in 3D was probably Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2. And no, not that film. I think it was Star Wars: The Force Awakens. And I really enjoyed this film in 3D. It gave it this feel to it where it's like everything felt more visually, it looked better, the colors were a lot better, the cinematography was gorgeous. Watching it in 3D at 4K just looked stunning. And maybe because I rewatched the first Godzilla on my monitor, my computer, and it was streaming it, so watching it on the 4K screen with 3D, I mean, that's a big improvement from watching it on your little monitor, dude. And I just really was I was just loving the visuals, the sound. My gosh, the music by Bear McCreary was just loud and just gigantic, and it had this depth and weight to it that I was just loving. I was always on the edge of my seat when Godzilla or one of the creatures were coming out. It was just frightening to watch, and it was a visual masterpiece. I just liked the way it looked. Some of the actors were pretty good, I suppose. I did like Millie Bobby Brown and Charles Dance the most. I did feel like they gave the better performance, but I think and Ken Watanabe always does his thing, but I think that's it. Sally Hawkins wasn't as great, and this is where we come to my mixed aspects of the film. Yeah, it's the characters. I feel like some of the secondary characters have interesting stories to tell, and the actors do a decent job of it. But I feel like the script doesn't give them enough cool things to say or do, and they're just a bit stale. They're really bland and kind of forgettable. I Charles Dance's character was awesome, but I actually forgot he was in the film half the time. And when he appeared in the post credit, I was like, oh shoot, I forgot he's in this film. And Charles Dance always gives this very Tywin Lannister like performance in these films, and I thought he was pretty good in this film, but he could have been better, I suppose, if the script gave him more stuff to do in a way. And this is where we come to my negative with this film: is the writing is a bit clunky. And when I mean a bit, I mean a lot clunkier than the first one. The first film had a decent script. I wasn't a fan of the story, but I find the story of the first film a little bit more bearable than this one, because the film just kind of goes left, right, up, down, here we go. Stuff happens out of convenience, especially towards the end where a character has to make the sacrifice, and it's like, why do they have to do that? There's so many other things they could have done to do that, but it's just very Hollywoody, the writing. It's a very Hollywood-like writing. And one character who has a very strange, like, development throughout the film is definitely Millie Bobby Brown's mother, Verna Farmiga's character, Dr. Emma Russell. Her character, you feel one way, in the first half of the film, you literally feel one way about this character. And then the second half, you feel a completely different way, and it's like this character's personality shifts, and it just makes you realize that, you know, it kind of makes you not really root for this character in a way, because this character does and says some really bizarre things. Stuff that literally is so bizarre that you're like, whoa, is this meant to be the protagonist? And it's like, it's very unlikable, and I don't like the way she was written. She was written terribly. Terribly. And yeah, I just didn't really like the writing and the direction it was going, to be honest with you. And I wasn't a fan of the plot. I didn't like it. So the first film had a better plot, but the visuals weren't that great. But this film had better visuals, but the plot wasn't that great. So I'm hoping the third one has a better plot and better visuals, which will be Godzilla vs. Kong. And this film is the third in the monsterverse, because we had the King Kong Skull Island movie, and now we're going to get Godzilla vs. Kong next year, so I'm not really looking forward to that, because I don't really care about this monster universe. I never really liked the Godzilla films, so I never really was bothered with these films, but I just liked the way it looked. It looked pretty. It's worth watching it in 3D if you just want to like see good full visuals. Definitely watch in 3D. And with that, I'm going to give Godzilla King of the Monsters, I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. I'm going to give it a C, just because the visuals were nice. If the visuals were nice, I would have given it a much lower grade, but hey, I'm being nice for a change. But thank you for watching this review. Please like, share this video, and comment down below and tell me what's your favourite Godzilla film. What's your favourite MonsterVerse film? I think so far, this movie has the better visuals, but I think the first Godzilla film was better. Kong Skull Island was just utter crap. Never want to see that film again. But thank you for watching this review, and as always, a Boy The Review signing out.